Hey, it's Scott from FamilyWheels.ca with another car review for your growing family, and this is the 2019 Ford Escape. And I'm particularly excited to try this one out because my wife and I actually own a 2011 Escape that we bought brand new off the dealership floor the year it came out, and it's served us so well. So well, in fact, that I've actually suggested multiple times that we upgrade that vehicle, and my wife doesn't want to. She just loves it so much. It takes us skiing, it takes us camping. She drives it every day into downtown Vancouver and parks it in an underground parkade, has no problems with it whatsoever. In short, we love it. But how does this, the new Escape, compare? Is it as good? And is it the right vehicle for you and your growing family? Let's go find out. So the 2019 is part of the third generation of Escapes, and it's somewhere on the smaller side of their SUV lineup, falls right in between the EcoSport, which is the smallest, then it comes the Escape, and then there's the Flex, which is slightly larger, and then you move up from there. If you're looking at the Escape, you might also be considering things like the Chevy Equinox, the Honda CR-V, or perhaps the Mazda CX-5. The Escape comes in 4 different trims, starting with the base model S and working its way up to the titanium, which we're driving here. Price-wise, there's a pretty big variance, with the base model starting at just 25,899 Canadian, and the titanium at the other end of the spectrum starting at 37,199 Canadian. And this model we're in, it is a titanium, as equipped, is going to run you 43,689 Canadian. So what do you get for all that extra money? Well, obviously there's a bunch of different ways that you can equip your Escape, starting with the engine. The base model gets a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder. It makes 168 horsepower and 170 foot-pounds of torque. Then there's a 1.5 liter EcoBoost, good for 179 horse and 177 foot-pounds. And the top of the line 2 liter twin scroll EcoBoost, which we have here, and gives you a big jump up to 245 horse and 275 pound-feet. This engine is also the thirstiest of the 3. Ford say to expect 10.2 liters for 100 kilometers, which works out to 23 US miles per gallon, but we've been getting about 11.5 liters for 100 kilometers, which works out to just over 20 US miles per gallon. The 2 smaller engines average just slightly better, but not by much. If you're planning on towing anything big, you're probably not looking at a smaller SUV like this one, but it is nice to know that there is some towing capacity. The twin scroll EcoBoost lets you pull up to 1,587 kilograms, or about 3,500 pounds, whereas the smaller EcoBoost engine will pull 907 kilos or 2,000 pounds. Now, for those who are uninitiated, Ford's EcoBoost line of engines are designed to be as powerful as bigger engines, but provide better gas mileage through smaller displacement and the addition of turbochargers. The twin scroll option that we have in this model is pretty neat too. The way it works is by having 2 exhaust and 2 gas inlets of different sizes to maximize efficiency of the exhaust pulsations and eliminate turbo lag. It's kind of complex, but I feel like it does work. From a driver's perspective, that extra power and pickup is noticeable for sure. Our 2011 has that 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder, and my main knock against it is it just always feels underpowered. All models come with the 6-speed automatic, and you can opt for front wheel or Ford's intelligent 4-wheel drive system, which basically adjusts power and torque to the wheels as they slip and grip on different surfaces. Again, if I were to buy a new model, this is an option I would want. Other options available that I would include if I were to buy one: this panoramic moonroof, heated seats and steering wheel, Ford's Sync 3 infotainment system, which I'll talk about more in a sec, remote start, the kick to open tailgate, which worked surprisingly well and was super convenient, and park assist, which I'll say also worked excellent. It was bang on every time I tried it, and it never missed a beat. It's another one of these features that I sometimes worry will replace our need to know how to parallel park on our own, own. But if you or someone who's driving your car is uncertain if they'll be able to fit in a certain spot, it's awesome to just let the car tell you it can fit, and then it does it like a pro. Inside the Escape, things feel pretty well done. The cockpit is comfortable, the fit and finish seem pretty good, and the console's fairly well laid out. I like how the climate controls are clear and easy to use. As you know, I'm a big fan of all this operation coming from tactile buttons. I'm less of a fan though of the infotainment controls layout. The screen here is touch, which is fine, but it's set back a little bit, and I found it a little difficult to reach. And in them setting it back like this, there's this sort of ledge here where they've placed all of the controls for the system. It strikes me as one of these ideas that an automaker does in an effort to stand out, but just feels less effective than sticking with the old standard. I do acknowledge that some people may like this layout, but personally I'd prefer to have the screen set further forward and buttons that are facing the rear of the car instead of facing up towards the roof. That said, the buttons themselves are straightforward and well thought out, and once you get used to where they are, using them to navigate the system works well, as do the steering controls. Otherwise, the infotainment system is decent. The screen is nice and easy to read, and I do really love how there's a nice easy button here just to switch the display off, as opposed to having to go through a bunch of touchscreen menus. When we put my 2-year-old daughter Sloan in the back seat at nighttime, it's great to be able to just hit that and have this giant bright display not distract her. This is Ford's Sync 3, which is their highest level of infotainment, and it has a lot of features that are pretty great. My brother's been raving about his to me for years. He has an older model Edge with Sync 3, and he always mentions how he loves you can hit the voice activation button in the car and speak directly to Siri or to your Google Assistant, whether you use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, both of which are supported. Sync 3 also supports the Waze app, which is a really good community-driven GPS app. If you've never explored it, I recommend it. The traffic updates that it gives you are sourced from real people in those situations in real time, so it's incredibly accurate and it does work really well. The Escape also has the Ford Pass Connect system, which includes a Wi-Fi hotspot and lets you do things like lock or unlock your car or start the engine from your smartphone. And if you're anything like me, you sometimes find yourself wondering if you locked your car or not after you're comfortably seated in the movie theater or restaurant. This feature is great. The seats are quite comfortable. Both the driver and the passenger seat get 10-way power adjustable here in the titanium trim, and I found the seating position overall to be quite upright and truck-like. Like you're pretty upright and your legs feel below you as opposed to stretched out in front of you. I prefer this in an SUV, especially if it's four-wheel drive. It makes you feel like it's more on the truck side of the spectrum than on the car side. The leather and stitching look nice and high class, and it carries throughout the interior. In the back seat, while there might not be a huge amount of room, a cool feature I love is that the rear seats slide and recline. It might not be a huge thing for young kids, but teenagers or other adults back there would definitely appreciate this on longer trips. Giving your kids the ability to sleep while you're driving is invaluable. Big plus here. In our rear-facing car seat test, we measured 31 inches from the back of the front passenger seat to the glove box, which is respectable for a car of this size. And in our standardized trunk test, the Escape had no issues as well, easily holding a stroller, camera bag, diaper bag, football, 2 bags of groceries, and some other odds and ends for good measure. The Escape offers 964 liters of space with the rear seats folded up, which is less than the Honda CR-V, but more than the Mazda CX-5 and Chevy Equinox. If you opt to fold the seats flat, you get up to 1,925 liters. In our decibel test, the Ford measured in at 65 decibels, going 100 kilometers an hour on dry roads, but that is equipped with winter tires. If you're in the market for a small SUV and are looking for an urban do-it-aller that can still tackle the occasional trip to the mountains or the lake, maybe on the weekends, I think the Escape is an excellent choice. It's well equipped without breaking the bank, and it pays attention to a lot of the little detail things that I think really make the trip that much better. Its upright seating combined with the powerful engine you can get give you a feeling of confidence and presence on the road. The infotainment layout is a bit quirky and might take some getting used to, but like I was saying, we have a 2011 Escape that we bought new and it served us really, really well. If I had to replace it today, I think that this model would probably be a contender. For FamilyWheels.ca, I'm Scott.